Victoria Howard is a royal historian. She joins me now. We've all just watched the Queen's message. She linked VE Day with today's pandemic, saying at the end, "I say with pride, we are still a nation those brave soldiers, sailors and airmen would recognise and admire."
Yes, and I think there's definitely been this link comparing this current pandemic with the Second World War that seems to have really resonated with the British people, that it's a struggle that actually we don't know how this is going to end. But that's something the Queen is really, really good at, finding that message of unity, particularly as a non-political figure, to try and bring a bit of a morale boost to her people.
And of course, she is herself a veteran of World War II.
Yeah, exactly. In 1944, she joined the ATS at the age of 18. She trained as a mechanic and she learnt to drive trucks and ambulances. And that's something she's very, very proud of. She's actually the only head of state that we now have in the world to have served in the Second World War. So it really does mean something for her to talk to her soldiers, her seamen, to actually think about this really historic event and commemorate it in an important and special way.
What stood out to you in her speech?
I think very much the setup and the reference to George VI, her father. You'll notice there were two photos in that video. One was of her father, George VI, on the front at her desk. Slightly behind her was one of the royal family on the balcony with Churchill on VE Day, waving at the crowds, sharing in those celebrations. And this is always something the monarchy does, drawing on those traditions, reminding people of the continuity and security that the royal family can bring. So it began with some of George VI's words, and then we heard the Queen reference them and talk about her own foray into the London crowds that night.
There's a great paradox here. The Queen is not physically able to get out and about around the country, but we're hearing from her more than we ever do.
Yes, that's very true. And I think that goes to show the emphasis that, one, the government is placing on the Queen as this uniting figure, but two, the involvement that the Queen wants to have in such a national crisis, essentially, because that is where the royals come into their own. As I said, this driving figure of unity that really can rally people in a way that politicians just can't. So I think this is very deliberate. It's the Queen trying to show that message of security, that actually, we can get through this because people trust what she says.
Victoria Howard, thank you so much.